Okay, let's get into my very first movie review over on my new channel, Peter Reviews Movies. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. Before I even put up my very first movie review, I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the love and support. I'm really excited about this channel. Okay, I knew that I wanted my very first movie review over here to be of the movie Weapons. I was really excited about seeing this movie. I am a huge horror movie fanatic. I have seen so many horror movie franchises. I feel very versed on horror movies. I've watched them ever since I was a kid. I love horror movies. And when I saw this movie come out and it was getting really hyped, I was like, okay, I have to see this movie. But before I got to go see this movie, my husband wanted to go see the newest I Know What You Did Last Summer, 2025. I will be reviewing that movie as well over here. So we went and saw that a couple weeks ago. That's kind of what got me the idea a little bit for this channel. And so I was like, okay, we're going to go see Weapons this last weekend, and then I'm going to put up my review of Weapons today. So here's my review of Weapons. I have a very unpopular opinion about this movie. I have watched actually quite a few reviews of this movie. A lot of people are saying that it wasn't slow at all. I thought it was incredibly slow. I am somebody that hardly ever gets bored or falls asleep in movies. I thought I was going to fall asleep in the first hour. I was like, let's get to it. What is going on? I was very confused about this movie. Now, this is a new movie that came out about a month ago, and it is in the genre of horror movies. I would say it is more of a thriller and less of a horror movie to me. I would also kind of categorize it a little bit as dark humor. It is directed by Zach Creggor, who previously directed Barbarian. Now, I have to tell you, I just recently watched Barbarian. I did not love that movie, okay? If you haven't seen Barbarian, Barbarian is about the two people that show up at the same Airbnb in a very bad part of town at the same time. They can't find any place else to stay because there's this conference in town, so they end up staying in the same Airbnb. And anyway, the movie didn't make any sense to me. There's some old scary lady cradling this man like a baby. It was bad. I just did not love Barbarian. I probably should have known that I was going to feel very similar about this movie as well, being that it was directed by the same person. Typically, with horror movies, if I like one of their movies, I love all their movies. So I didn't love Barbarian, and I didn't understand the hype of Barbarian, to be honest with you. I don't know. It was not a movie I would recommend to anybody. I just kind of got done with it, and I was like, okay, I'm confused about this. But anyway, so we went to the movie and got my popcorn and everything. So if you don't know anything about this movie, the movie is about these kids in a classroom. I think there's 17 or 18 of them that all go missing at 2:17 a.m., okay? Now, the movie starts, and it is, narrated. There's, this over-narration that's done by a child, okay? And the child is telling the story of what happened in this small town with these kids going missing. And so, as the child is doing the voice-over narration, they're, walking through the halls of school. They're showing the teacher walk into school. The teacher is played by Julia Garner, who is from Ozark. I'm not a big Ozark fan, but I love her on Ozark. She's fantastic in this role. I think her role on this as a teacher that is grieving the loss of her students, and the entire town is blaming her for it, and she falls into drinking every single night, and I think her role is portrayed fantastically. Josh Brolin is also in this. He plays the father of one of the missing children, and Amy Madigan plays Aunt Gladys, which is getting a lot of attention. We'll talk about that in just a second. But the whole thing starts off with this voiceover narration from this child's point of view, okay? And it's it all starts on this one day, blah, 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 whatever. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching it. And I'm like, this really reminds me of some horror movie that I know very well. I couldn't clock it. I was like, how do I know this? The voice almost sounded very similar to another voice in another horror movie that does it the exact same way. And I have to be honest with you, okay, I know you cannot reinvent the wheel, but I don't, unless it's done in a way of honor to kind of play honor to it. I don't think it was done that way. It almost kind of feels like a cheat to me. And so I was sitting there, I was like, it was driving me crazy. I was like, what does this voiceover remind me of? And then I was like, oh, it's Children of the Corn. This narration is exactly the narration almost from Children of the Corn. And then I was kind of out. I was kind of like, what's going on here? So the story is, that it's about these kids, I can't remember how many of them, 17, 18, and they all just go running out of their house at 2:17 a.m. And some of them are caught on like the door cameras running out. They're all running out with their arms like this. And so some of them have footage of the kids leaving, but they all left on their own. There was no break-ins or anything like that at 2:17 a.m. And now the kids are missing. So the teacher this, who's played by Julia Garner from Ozark. She's been in other things too, but that's what I know her from. So she goes into class and there's no students in there except for this one student in class. And so the whole town is blaming her. And basically what they're saying is, what were you talking about in this classroom? What were you teaching in this classroom? Now, this is important, I think, okay? I today watched so many movies. I'm trying to think of the movie that I just watched. I felt like it's hard for me to watch a movie anymore that I don't feel like is some kind of social commentary. And this movie very much, I think, especially the dark humor aspect of it, did play into social commentary of our school systems, what's being taught in the school. I think it was on a bigger discussion of that, okay? And kind of versus like what's happening in the schools versus what's happening in the home. I think that was kind of an undercurrent. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe this is a reach, but I kind of felt that way because what it really showed was the insidiousness of, and I don't want to spoil the movie for anybody that hasn't seen it. I haven't decided, do you guys want me to do spoilers or do you not want me to do spoilers? So for the first one, put it in the comment section below. For the first video, I will not spoil it for you, okay? But at home, the one kid is being taken care of by his Aunt Gladys, who is played by Amy Madigan, who I absolutely love. And she's this kind of over-the-top character, heavy makeup, and, like really short bangs, and she's just this very eccentric character. Okay, they're saying that they're in talks that she might get her own movie about who Aunt Gladys is before this movie, because she is a huge part of this movie. She's a huge backstory to it. Here's my thing, okay? And I did on my Peter Watches TV channel, I did review Longlegs, I believe. And I thought Longlegs was okay, but Longlegs was getting compared a lot to Silence of the Lambs. There's no comparison. Longlegs was boring compared to Silence of the Lambs. But a lot of it was about Nicolas Cage's character in Longlegs, okay? Well, this is kind of how I feel. I do not feel that one character can carry an entire show. And I am hearing so much about Aunt Gladys, Aunt Gladys, Aunt Gladys. I thought Aunt Gladys was a fantastic character. I thought there were other fantastic characters in this movie as well. I thought that the comedian that plays the school principal, I thought he was fantastic in it. I thought the two people that play the young boy's parents that are at the house most of the time, I thought they were fantastic in it. I thought that Julia Garner, who plays the teacher, I thought she was fantastic in it. I didn't think the movie overall worked. And I know that that's not a real popular opinion. I will say when I got done with it, I'll be honest with you, through the whole movie, I was kind of worried because I got my husband to go watch it and I thought he is just going to let me have it when we get at it. He was going to be like, that movie was so boring. Because when we went and saw I Know What You Did Last Summer, I said to him, we should be going to see Weapons. Everybody is talking about Weapons. And he goes, okay, well, this is going to be out of the movie theater soon, so let's go see this first, and then we'll go see Weapons next. And I said, okay. So I thought, he is just going to let me have it. He's going to be like, this movie was so bad. When we left, Alex was like, I thought it was pretty good. He goes, I liked it. Now, there's an element of witchcraft to this movie. My husband loves anything that has to do with witchcraft. So I thought maybe that was the saving grace for this movie. But the movie is really about these missing kids and the town and trying to figure out what happened and demanding answers from the school and the police, okay? At the same time, Julia Garner, who plays the teacher of the classroom, she's under a lot of scrutiny by the town. She's drinking heavily every night. And then there is a father of one of the boys, who's played by Josh Brolin, and he is trying to find his son, and he can really it's really only like a month or two out. So they're like very raw in what they went through. And he's really having a hard time letting go. So what it does is it goes through and it shows like an entire day of her life, of like going through what happens to her in a day of her life. Okay. It starts with the narration, what happened to the kids leaving, the police having no idea where they went. They have no idea where they went. Okay. Then the next part is a whole day of her life. At this point, we're about an hour and 10 minutes into the movie, and I'm bored, okay? I mean, I am bored. Like, in all honesty, if I was at home, I would have turned it off. And I know that that's not a popular opinion, but I was like, this movie was so hyped. And honestly, and I'm not a stupid person. I was like, am I missing? is there a deeper meaning to this? Like, is there something that I'm missing that people are going to be like, this was so good? I thought it was boring, okay? Then her part ends, so before each segment, they show like the name of the character. So then the next part comes up, so like her name is Mrs. Gandy, so they say Mrs. Gandy. Then his part comes up, the dad, I think his name is Mr. Archer or something like that, and it comes up Archer. And then it's the same day, and I was like, oh my God, okay. It took me back to high school with Faulkner, Sound and the Fury, where you're seeing the same day through 5 people's points of view. I don't love that unless it is done fantastically. I mean, unless you're learning so many different new things. And really the only thing that you learned through this was that he kind of figures out what happened to the kids, and so he and the teacher are kind of working together to solve the case, okay? And then enters the Aunt Gladys character. And Aunt Gladys is like this, I think she's a really enigmatic character. She's very eccentric. I think I would be more interested to see a movie. She's very Rosemary's Baby, okay? She's very like Ruth Gordon, the neighbor, and Rosemary's Baby. That's kind of who, I don't know, if she had to be modeled after somebody, I guess that's kind of who she reminds me of Ruth. If you've ever seen Rosemary's Baby, the original with Mia Farrow, she reminds me of Ruth Gordon in that. And so she's this very eccentric aunt that has come to help take care of the little boy who's the one remaining student in the classroom. You don't know why he is the one remaining student. So it's this mystery of trying to figure it all out. At the end, you do. The reason why I say it's kind of like this dark comedy is because at the end, when you find out what's going on, it's just kind of like, it's just like 20 minutes of just this running around, and it's just like this mania that's occurring on the screen. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be, I mean, and it's rather violent too. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be laughing or in shock or in awe, but like, it's almost like, I love very eccentric movies. I mean, I grew up in the David Lynch movies. I love eccentric characters. I love all of that, okay? But it has to be done in such a way for me that I'm either like, wow, I've never seen this before, or I'm kind of shocked, or I'm scared. This movie wasn't scary to me at all. This movie wasn't even that much of a thriller. I mean, once they start entering some of the characters, I knew I mean, they show it along, so there's no surprise to it. It's really more of a character study of who these people are. And I think, like, had I known that going into the movie, one of my favorite movies of life is Nomadland by Frances McDormand. But you don't go into that movie. It's about a woman that lives in she lives in a camper, and she like goes cross country. And anyway, you don't go into that movie thinking it's going to be a mystery thriller or a horror movie and you're solving something. Okay. You know, it's a character study of this woman's life as like, you know, living this nomadic life. You know that, right? Like that's what the movie's about. So you go into it knowing that. Okay. But it's like when you go into Fargo with Frances McDormand, you know it's a mystery thriller. You know it's going to get solved at the end. This one, I was less interested in finding out what really happened because about halfway through, you find out where the kids are. So you know where the kids are, and you kind of piece it all together. So then what I realized at that point was, oh, this is just a character study. Now I understand why Aunt Gladys is getting all this attention on pop culture, and people are talking about her in media and things like that, because Amy Madigan does a fantastic job of playing this character. She's unbelievable. I think they all did a fantastic job. I thought all the actors were unbelievable in the movie. I just don't know that I feel like the movie really worked. It was very boring, in all honesty. Had I gone into it, I am a reader, a TV show lover, and a movie lover that if you can sell me on the characters, that I'm in it. But I didn't go into it for the characters. I didn't know that I went into it because I was excited to watch a horror movie. I was excited, which isn't even really a horror movie, it's a thriller. So I really feel like it's being marketed incorrectly. And I thought that the character study of all of them was done fantastically. Actually, it's interesting to me that the character of Mrs. Gandy is getting less attention when I think that character was better developed than the character of Aunt Gladys. It's just because Aunt Gladys, I think in our society today, we're very attracted in movies and TV shows to these very over-the-top characters, like Nicolas Cage in Longlegs, or like Jennifer Coolidge in White Lotus. So if they have a character like that, I went to this movie like, who is Aunt Gladys? That was one of the reasons why I went to go to this movie. And then when I found out, like, I liked her character. I thought her character was well developed. And I understood the motive right away. Like, we got out of it, and my husband was like, well, I don't understand why this. I go, oh, well, don't you understand that? I just don't know, for me, and I'm somebody that if I watch a movie and I don't really know what I think right away, I'll sit on it for 2 or 3 days and then maybe my opinion will change. I would really need somebody to be like, well, this is, and I'd be like, oh, well, that was genius. I don't feel that way about Barbarian, and I don't feel that way about this. I think that with Zach Creggor's movies, you're either going to love him or you're not. And I just don't think I'm somebody that really gets him or loves his work. And maybe that's why I have a very unpopular opinion about this movie. But to me, it was a pass. Anyway, let me know what you thought in the comment section below. Please convince me otherwise, too. I would love to hear other opinions about it. Let me know in the comment section below. And let me know how I did on my very first movie review. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.